Hi guys, and welcome back to another episode of your Brains Coach podcast. My name is Angela Shurina. I'm your host, I'm your Brains Coach, and it is my job here to bring to you all the best, most effective, cutting edge, recent, most useful, and sometimes fun to try brain body tools so you could feel better, look better, take much better control of your thoughts, of your emotions, of your wellness, of the energy that you bring to the table, all with a purpose to create the life that you absolutely love living. And here on this podcast, the Your Brains Coach podcast, we have a special love for entrepreneurs, founders, change agents, leaders, people who decided to take charge of their life, to design, to create their life, the world, to fix things, to improve things, not just be observers of life, but active participants shaping themselves, the environment around them, and affecting in a positive way lives of all the people who we share this beautiful experience that we call life. So welcome to the show. Folks, today, as you guessed from the title of this podcast, we are talking about one of my favorite topics ever, nutrition, food, as a fuel for greatness, for excellence, for building the most awesome things in the world you are capable of. Nutrition, folks, it's not just fuel, it's what you're made of. Those are the bricks of the building that we call you. You know, like you see houses, buildings around you, like they're built from different materials. So food is the same building material, but for you. Every single piece of you made not out of thin air, but the food that you put on your plate. And you're going to be very cautious about what you put on your plate because not all food is created equal when it comes to quality. Just like buildings that are built all around us depend on the quality of the building materials, the amount of impact of productivity, of creativity that you bring into this world depend, just like the quality of the buildings around you depend on the quality of the building materials. Just like that, the quality of you and what you produce in this world depends on the quality of the food that you put on your plate. Again, it's not just fuel that goes into your mouth, goes through your digestive system and comes out on the other end. Food is not just that. Food is what your mouth and digestive tract and your brain that generates all the productivity, all the ideas, all and everything that you create in this world. All of this is produced from what you put on your plate. And that's why I'm so freaking passionate and cautious. And also I'm a food snob. Like I'm so very passionate and careful about the quality of what I put on my plate because I understand that each piece of that will become some part of you, some part of me. And do I want to put what we call junk food in me? Inferior quality calories that are made out of remainings of the best possible quality of food? It's not just about the price and the taste. It's about the quality of what you're going to be built up, your mental health, your emotional stability, your motivation, your drive, your ability to learn. The key skill of the 21st century and beyond is learning, adapting to rapid change that is happening around you faster and faster and faster. Your ability to learn depends on the quality of the brain that you are building every single day, on the quality of your metabolism, on the quality of every single cell that is inside of you. And by the way, your brain is, based on research and knowledge that we have, is the most sensitive organ to the quality of your nutrition. Forget about weight loss and calories, the quality. I want to be made from inferior, second and third grade building materials. And just like the building, the worse the quality of the initial materials that you're going to build into the building. The poorer the quality, the poorer the result. How many years you're going to last, how much energy, how much vitality, how much drive you're going to have, all of that going to depend on what you put on your plate. Your thoughts, your emotions, they're just as physical as your physical body. They are not that easily trackable, but your thoughts, your emotions, your mental state, your mood, they are all created by different molecules in your brain, in your body, by your metabolism, by neurotransmitters, how neurons and your nervous system communicates to the rest of the body, and all of that is built from what you put on your plate. So please understand the importance of this episode and understanding basics of nutrition, and accepting and acknowledging this core idea that what you put on your plate is the quality of you. And that defines absolutely everything that you're going to be able to achieve and build in this life. So now, without further ado, let's talk about nutrition and the foundational knowledge of what it means to eat great quality foods and what are some numbers that you need to follow to provide everything that your body and brain need to perform at your highest level consistently, mentally, emotionally, physically, on all levels. We're here dedicated to sustainable excellence, to high performance, and that is not possible without high quality nutrition that also meets all the numbers in macros and micros. And that's not just me talking. This is a top research of nutritionists, of psychologists, of high performance coaches, people at the top of their game who work with leading sports team and business teams. All of them know and preach and educate their clients about nutrition knowledge and how important the quality and certain numbers are to the quality of your performance and recovery. We're talking about stress management, recovery, burnout prevention. All of it has a lot to do with nutrition, what you're made of and how your metabolism works, how high or low your inflammation levels are, how well your blood sugar is regulated. All of that depends on the quality of nutrition you put on your plate. So what is the quality? Well, the quality, in Brazil, they created this beautiful system called NOVA. You can look it up, NOVA. And the system separates foods based on the level of their processing. There is minimally processed foods, unprocessed foods. So unprocessed foods, your fruit, vegetables, meats, fish, chicken, as you see them. Then minimally processed foods, those are things where for example, you can fish and it becomes minimally processed. Or you cook something that becomes minimally processed. So we take unprocessed foods, we cook them or try to preserve them in a minimally affected way, and we get minimally processed foods. And then we have culinary ingredients, things like salt or sugar, even though I personally do not recommend to consider sugar your to-go culinary ingredient adding to a lot of foods, but that's another story, right? So everything that you cook with, different oils, different spices, culinary ingredients, and then you have processed foods that are some breads and some smoothies, fruit in syrup, things that still resemble the unprocessed food to some degree, to some bigger degree. But I recommend us to stick to minimally processed and unprocessed foods if you are interested in optimizing your health and your productivity and your recovery and your performance, right? And then the last group is ultra processed foods. That's where you get your junk food. That's where you get your different snacks and burgers. Not all, by the way, processed foods are bad for you. Like if you take protein powder, especially without added sugars, and you take pure whey protein powder, it's highly processed, but it's not as good as an unprocessed food, as real food, but also not that bad, and adds quality nutrients to your diet. So you take your supplements, vitamins and minerals. Obviously they're processed, or your fish oil, they're extracted, they're processed, but they actually add to health aspect. So some processed foods are great additions to the diet, mainly consisting of unprocessed and minimally processed foods. Those foods that are fruit, that are vegetables, that are meats, that are fish, that are chicken, eggs, beans, lentils, whole grains, all these foods that look like almost you got them from Mother Nature, right? Your berries, all these foods that you cook with, that you prepare meals from, unprocessed, minimally processed foods. All of these foods can be supplemented with certain processed, healthier foods that will add to your health. But then we have obviously processed and ultra processed foods that have white flour. Sometimes the flour is not exactly white, or different added sugars processed into powder or crystal sugars. We have different flavor enhancers. We have take cereal. It's a bunch of mush with stuff that makes your blood sugar goes up and down rapidly. That is one of the biggest concerns for your health and your brain performance, by the way. Certain foods that are highly processed might not affect your blood sugar that much, like pizza you order from a corner shop, but they have oils and white flour and all the ingredients that will, for example, for a lot of people, increase inflammation. And they definitely will not add to your health because they are almost, there is almost none of vitamins and minerals and fibers that our body or brain need to thrive. The problem with, again, ultra processed and processed foods, it's not just some of them can increase inflammation, your blood sugar, some of them, are okay, but every calorie that you consume from the processed and ultra processed foods that have almost none of the essential vitamins, minerals, proteins, fatty acids, fibers. So the more of processed foods that lack these nutrients you consume, the less of the stuff that actually your body, your brain need to function optimally, the less of foods full of essential for life and performance nutrients you're gonna eat. It's just that the more processed crap you eat, the less of healthy stuff you eat, stuff that you actually need to build a badass version of yourself. And that's the problem. It's like the time. The more time you spend on useless activities, the less time you spend on building meaningful relationships, businesses, health, and different aspects of your life. Just like time is distributed, your calories are distributed as well. The more junk you eat, the less good stuff you eat, and the more and more fragile version of yourself you are building with every bite at a time. So that being said, now we talked about quality, and you understand more or less what's good quality. Unprocessed, minimally processed fresh food, fruit, vegetables, fish, meat, chicken, beans, whole grains, good quality without added sugars, dairy products. What else do we get here? All this boring and ancient foods that's been around since your grandparents' times. Those are the foods we need to be eating. Minimally processed, not made into some milkshakes, concoctions, or cereals with a bunch of added vitamins and nutrients. Even bread. Bread is a lot more processed than whole grains that is cereal, or whole oats that you cook into porridge, or eating things like quinoa or buckwheat or grain that is still preserved, not made into flour, right? So there is a degree, the more processed, the worse the quality. So again, look up NOVA, N-O-V-A, if you want to learn more about unprocessed, minimally processed culinary ingredients and ultra-processed foods. Now, let's get to numbers. What are the numbers that you need to hit every day to get the nutrition that your body and your brain, most importantly? Most of us these days are knowledge workers. We depend on our brain to deliver greatness into the world, to deliver processes, or to deliver services and products and our work to the best possible ability. For all this, we need a healthy, high-performing brain. And brain is the most sensitive, again, to nutrition. So, for example, when we talk about eating protein, you don't just need protein to build muscle and maintain, to build bone and your beautiful hair or skin or nails or teeth. Protein is not just needed for building, it also needs for your brain to work well. Your brain creates certain messenger molecules, neurotransmitters, that your neurons use to communicate between each other. And the better that communication goes, the better you perform cognitively while doing work, answering emails, making decisions, creating ideas. So proteins, they are essential for your performance. And most of the people still did not get the memo that you need to optimize your protein intake and that not all protein is created equal. Here we are talking about plant-based proteins or animal-based proteins. You would see things like almonds are high in protein or chickpeas, but very often they forget to tell you that you don't get all the kinds of proteins or amino acids that you need from chickpeas compared to a piece of meat or chicken or fish. And the protein is a much less concentrated. That means you get a lot less for eating more food in chickpeas than you would in chicken breast, for example. Right? So get your protein, and where you get it is very important. The kind of protein is different, the one that you get from plants and from animals. That being said, two most important meals to get your protein, a lot of it every single day: breakfast and dinner. Why breakfast and dinner? Well, because after night sleep, you've been fasting for quite a few hours, the longest time usually between your meals, and your body was not getting, and your brain they were not getting their proteins. So in the morning, in your breakfast, you don't just need oats or bananas or coffee, you need that protein. There are many multiple ways to get it. You can eat, like I recommend to a lot of my clients, get some eggs there, even though eggs are not that rich in protein. Numbers are important. So you get 2 to 3 whole eggs with yolk as well that contains vitamins and minerals, a lot more stuff than egg white, a lot more stuff that you would not get in any other food. Believe it or not, egg yolk specifically is a treasure house of nutrition. It's not the same at all as egg white. That being said, other sources of protein for breakfast: Greek yogurt. I recommend low fat to no fat to keep your calories in check. A lot of us eating a lot more calories than we need, right? So those numbers matter as well. Yogurt, obviously, I also love tuna for breakfast. I usually combine 3 eggs and a can of tuna and half a liter of low-fat to no-fat yogurt. A lot of protein. I managed to consume 70 grams of protein for breakfast. And that represents basically half of what I need, even a little bit more. But I'm a lean body freak. I love to see my 6-pack abs all the time. That's why I prioritize protein. Did you know, by the way, if you want to lose fat and build muscle, you need to be quite high on protein. Otherwise, that's never gonna happen. So protein for breakfast and for dinner. Get at least 40-50 grams of that protein. To give you an idea, 30 grams of protein you can get from 100 grams of chicken breast. But chicken breast is the highest in protein food source. It basically means it's more concentrated. What's your protein number total per day? It's 2 multiplied by your body weight in kgs. So if I'm 55 kgs, it means 110 grams of protein. And I eat 70 for breakfast. By the way, breakfast is, again, one of the most important meals of the day. It doesn't really matter whether you have it at 8, at 9, at 10, and 11, but get that protein for breakfast. And why is dinner also important for protein specifically? Because then you're not going to have your protein for all the period of sleep that you have. So lunch, not that important. Plus, having a heavy lunch not gonna play into good energy levels. You're gonna get your dip in the middle of the day. If you have heavy lunch to digest at that time, your energy gonna dip more, and that's not necessarily what you want to have in the middle of the day. Protein, the first number you gotta hit every day. So you got your formula: 2 multiply by your weight in kgs. Like again, my example, 55 kilograms multiplied by 2 equals 110 grams of protein. And then you can Google 110 grams of protein. Where do I eat it from? Like, what foods contain protein? And also, obviously, you can get some protein shakes in there to make it easy for you to hit that number. But protein is essential for high performance, sustainable high performance, great muscle mass, lean body mass, and also motivation. The molecule of motivation, dopamine, is actually made out of specific protein that is the highest in chicken breast. I think also turkey breast is a really amazing source of that. That is number one, your protein amount. Get it for breakfast, great. Get it for dinner. From high quality sources, unprocessed and minimally processed. As I'm sipping my water, I just reminded myself, hydration, even 2% dehydration will cause your brain performance to decline. And the more dehydrated you are, the more that performance is going to decline. Your physical, mental performance depends on water. What is recommended is to consume 40 ounces or 1.2 liters of water before 4 p.m. The time also matters. Again, that fasting period after your night sleep where you didn't get any water, you're going to be dehydrated. Your brain is going to be dehydrated. So morning water, drinking 2 big glasses, half a liter is essential. Then drinking that water throughout the day, not at night, so you don't pee the whole night when you're supposed to be sleeping. Timing is important. So drink up. Especially if you speak, you deliver content, you communicate a lot with people, you need more water. Another sip. Number 2, fruit and vegetables. It is recommended by current research, health research, to consume 800 grams of fruit and vegetables per day. And that's how you also get your fiber, a lot of additional water, vitamins and minerals. So it is recommended to get 800 grams minimum. If you want more, like I do, I love my fruit and vegetables, consume more, but at least 800 grams. Why is that essential? Again, to get all of your vitamins and minerals and fiber and keep you full, keep your stomach moving stuff around, maintaining your regular blood sugar. And these fruit and vegetables provide a lot of antioxidants that actually protect your brain from its own activity. Your brain generates a lot of oxidants, potentially damaging itself unless you have some source of plenty of antioxidants that diminish or eliminate that possible damage. That's why fruit and vegetables are so important for a highly active, highly productive brain. Fruit and vegetables. Here's how I get my fruit and vegetables. 2 bananas for breakfast, combined with 150 grams of usually blueberries, then additional 200 grams of either strawberries or peaches, and I already get 500-600 grams of fruit and vegetables for breakfast. I then have about 150 grams of carrots as a lunch snack, and that's gonna get me to 700 or sometimes even 800 grams already. And then for dinner, I have around 300-400 grams of vegetables, fresh and cooked. And that is a huge amount of vegetables for my dinner that keeps me not hungry for the rest of my evening and night. And that's how I easily hit 800 grams fruit and vegetables, just eating them basically for breakfast and for dinner. By the way, your digestive system, if you're not used to eating a lot of fruit and vegetables, will need a little bit of training. So if you started eating a lot more fruit and vegetables, don't be surprised that you're going to be kind of uncomfortable in your stomach. But it's just like with exercise. If you haven't been in the gym or exercising for quite some time, guess what? The first workout is going to be uncomfortable, going to be difficult, painful, icky, or all kinds of uncomfortable feelings going to come up. But then after a while, when you keep showing up day after day after day, guess what's going to happen? You're going to start loving it, and it's going to feel like no work at all and like doing a very usual thing that causes no discomfort whatsoever. And that's exactly the same thing happens when you start eating more fruit and vegetables. Your digestive system, your gut microbiome, they need to adjust and adapt for this new behavior. So give it a couple of weeks and also ease into that. I'm not saying if you haven't been eating fruit and vegetables, maybe like 1 apple a day on a good day, and then you all of a sudden transition to eating 800 grams of fruit and vegetables, that might feel like a lot of work. So ease into that. Add 100 grams per week, and you won't even notice how easily you'll start hitting that number and how you're going to crave those fruit and vegetables when you don't get them. And also, like a lot of my clients tell me, Angela, I just need to start with something simple, like maybe apples or berries or bananas, or one of my clients loves oranges and they would just eat the oranges the whole day, like those satsumas or mandarins, easy to peel. So choose the best fruit and vegetables you can get and eat 800 grams of that, or ease into that, and then venture out to something more interesting. In general, more variety in different foods that you eat will mean variety of nutrients and also a really great gut microbiome profile. So that's the second number, 800 grams of fruit and vegetables. Not, by the way, in smoothies or some sort of dried fruits or candy or powders. No. Or athletic greens. No. The fruit and vegetables that you actually chew with your jaw. That, by the way, also needs training. You have your jaw for a reason to bite and chew. That also controls your appetite and your metabolism. So fruit and vegetables, your body and your brain, your gut microbiome need them. Number 3, here we have a few foods that are quite unique in their nutrient profiles, essential nutrient profiles, that if you don't eat these foods, you're not going to be getting these nutrients from anywhere else. Here we're talking about fatty fish, things with fish with omega-3 fatty acids. Here we have salmon, we have herring, we have sardines. Also, here in South Africa, they call them peachards, and they're canned, and I buy the ones in tomato sauce. Those are basically sardines in tomato sauce. Amazing. I just like my favorite food to add to salad mixes, mix it all together in it, like you have sauce and protein and greens all in the same thing. And it's just amazing. But back to omega-3 fatty acids. That is the fat that your brain is made of. It uses omega-3 fatty acids to insulate neural connections. And when you need to grow new connections, your body needs these fatty acids. They're also highly inflammatory and protect your brain from its activity that potentially can be damaging. It helps you to balance, to manage your mental states, your mood. Kids who consume a lot of omega-3s are much more balanced when it comes to mood, and they have better cognitive abilities to learn, and to learn, to study, to pay attention. So fatty acids, omega-3 fatty acids, so important for you. And the only foods that you can get sufficient amount, fatty fish. Again, you get your salmon, tuna, not as much. You get your herring, you get mackerel, all kinds of mackerels in herrings, because there are different families, different kinds. You get a lot of sardines and sprots. It's in some countries you call this tiny fish with also a lot of omega-3s. Just Google omega-3 rich fish, and you get quite a few, especially mackerel is super rich in omega-3s, but also vitamin D. So it's one super fish with some nutrients that are super hard to get in other foods. By the way, speaking of vitamin D, fatty fish like mackerel or salmon and eggs and also full-fat dairy products are the only foods where you can get that vitamin D that most of the population are deficient in. So eating a lot of fatty fish, eating your eggs, eating your dairy products, all that, will add to your vitamin D amount, but then also for omega-3s, fatty fish. That's an essential food that I personally eat every day. How much you're going to get? It is recommended to get at least one, but usually 1 to 2 grams. People who really care about their brain, they get 2 grams, sometimes from food alone, but then also supplementing. So fish oil is super important. And obviously, when you eat fish, you don't just get fish oil. You also get a ton of nutrients, from calcium to magnesium to iodine. So supplements are worse because they don't contain all of the additional nutrients that whole food contains. And also when it comes to fish, great source of protein. It's kind of, you eat one food, but you get so many nutrients. Then the second is calcium source. Many people don't realize that your calcium is not just for building bones. It's also for making your digestion work. It's also for making your muscles contract. It's also for making your neurons communicate between each other. Calcium is an essential electrolyte. And when you get low on that, your brain starts to slow down because of not optimized neural communication. Calcium, again, is important electrolyte. And your body uses bones as your calcium storage. But the problem is that if you don't get your calcium on a regular basis, then when you're 50s, 60s, and your body was taking all of that time, the calcium from your bones, you get fragile bones. And then you can break easily stuff, and then you can die. One of the top causes of death in old age is falling, breaking a hip, and not being able to recover. And why does it happen so easily? Well, because people don't pay attention to calcium their whole life. As simple as that. So don't die, eat your calcium. Calcium is not present in big amounts in any of the plants, no matter what they tell you. You either consume dairy products in bigger amounts, like I eat half a liter of yogurt for that reason, or you get your calcium from supplements. That's about it. So you always gotta understand, where is your calcium coming from? Then we have eggs. As I already mentioned, treasure house of nutrition. They have specific nutrients that are super hard to get from any other food. Nutrients essential for your creativity, your memory, your learning. Nutrients that are actually added to supplements are used to treat things like dementia and Alzheimer when people start losing their mind. Eggs are a crucial source, the only, besides liver, source of that essential nutrient that is called choline, essential for memory formation. And your memory is also learning, and it's also creativity. A lot of good stuff, plus vitamin D and a lot of other B vitamins, zinc, selenium, so much goodness in eggs. My clients know that unless they have some issue with eggs, 3 eggs per day, non-negotiable. Then a special mention of organ meats like chicken livers that contain a huge amount of nutrients, B vitamins, iron and choline and zinc and selenium. So many nutrients in those small pieces of organ meats. And when you learn how to cook them right, they are quite delicious treat that your brain and body will absolutely love. Did you know that organ meats used to be fed to heads of tribes when we had more tribes than we have now, and to pregnant women? Obviously, the most important people in the tribe, the leaders and women who make the tribe to continue by procreating. So organ meats were given to them for a reason, because they are the highest per bite essential nutrient sources. Nutrients that are hard to come by in all the other foods. So organ meats. Then we have beans, greens, nuts and seeds, additional high density, nutrient dense foods that are amazing foods in their own way. Beans and lentils, high in minerals, things like magnesium, also vitamins like folate. They have the most amount of fiber of all of the foods. You eat a serving of beans and lentils and you add up somewhere between 10 and 15 grams of fiber per day. Fiber that's so hard to get by. Fiber that stabilizes your blood sugar, makes you energy last. Beans and lentils feed your gut bacteria that create the gut lining that makes your gut health amazing. That contributes to great health and lower inflammation and so many other great things. So beans, lentils, we have nuts, seeds with different vitamins and minerals, specifically with good amount of fiber, with vitamin E that is so essential to protect your brain from the damage it can do to itself. We have special, again, different kinds of fats and minerals. Nuts and seeds being researched, and they seem to be on the plates of the longest living people. Some nuts and seeds per day, especially walnuts, have a special place between all nuts and seeds because they have the essential fatty acids in the unmatched ratio that is super amazing and good for our brain. Omega-3s, omega-6s. It's not a coincidence that walnut looks like a brain. It has a lot of stuff that your brain needs to be the superstar that it can be. So walnuts, a handful a day will make your brain a superstar, a performance superstar that it's designed to be. Last but not least, cacao products. So we have either cocoa powder, the best one that is unprocessed or raw, and we have super dark chocolate, say 75% and higher. I usually go for 100%. That is full of antioxidants that have compounds that feed gut microbiome, making it thrive and create all kinds of beneficial compounds. So chocolate, in many studies, have been shown to improve memory, learning ability, all kinds of different cognitive processing powers. It has, as a compound, as a food source, a special place among brain foods. So I personally have a huge tablespoon of cocoa powder, and I have 100% chocolate every day, at least 10 grams. So chocolate, it's one of a kind brainy food that also, by the way, stimulates all 5 major neurochemicals that your brain creates in a state of flow, that highly productive state where you can be, when your productivity can improve up to 500%, McKinsey tells us. So we have our serotonin, endorphins, dopamine, adrenaline, anandamide, all stimulated by this beautiful food of the gods. They used to call it chocolate, but again, not chocolate will do. Dark 75 to 100 better, and or cocoa powder raw is better. And that's it about foods. Get your protein, 2 grams multiplied by your body weight in kilograms. That's the number you need to hit. Breakfast and dinner are especially important meals for protein. We get your fruit and veg number, 800 grams per day. Your brain especially loves greens and beans that actually in that number are classified as fruit and vegetables, a part of that equation. We have special foods that add one-of-a-kind nutrients that are hard to get anywhere else. Fatty fish, great source of omega-3s, or the only great source of omega-3s, from mackerel to salmon to herring to sardines. We have calcium source. My favorite is low-fat to no-fat yogurt, especially Greek if you can get it. Eggs, eat your yolks. Organ meats, especially chicken livers, nuts and seeds, especially walnuts, a handful a day, cocoa powder, chocolate in the best possible, darkest forms. And the last but not least, folks, supplement, vitamin, multivitamin, multimineral, magnesium, omega-3 fatty acids. If you don't consume a lot of yogurt like I do, get your calcium from your supplement. Those are essential supplements, not pills, not good to have, but important addition, important fortification of your overall great quality diet. But of course, don't let anyone fool you. Supplements are not a substitution for foods. There is a lot we don't understand how the food works. And so when you take supplements but eat weird foods, otherwise, that's not going to be a good way to eat, even though probably better than nothing. And then the foods that are kind of killing your brain and your performance, I like to summarize them as white stuff and fried stuff. Basically, anything that is made with flours, white and sometimes brownish, added sugars, even if it's natural sugars, cane sugars, or cane beetroot sugar or some syrup and juices. If it's processed, if it doesn't come from things like fruit that you have to chew, that is a processed kind of sugar, especially in your coffee drinks, your matchas. The worst kind of sugar is liquid sugar. Juice, even if it's freshly squeezed, it's still a bunch of sugar without fiber. So when it comes to fruit, don't juice your fruit, eat your fruit. White stuff of breads, pastas, pizzas, minimize that. Again, the idea is the more processed foods made with this white stuff you eat, the less high quality foods with essential nutrients you're going to consume. And that will kill your health over time and your performance, productivity, energy, mood, mental health as well, your ability to recover and prevent burnout and have good night's sleep. All of that is killed by you consuming suboptimal foods. It doesn't just go into your mouth and then comes out of your rear end. No, it actually builds you and either increases your capacity to perform, to recover, to do your best, or decreases it. There is nothing in the middle. And the things that you want to pay attention to when it comes to your nutrition and diet, there are two things. One, how the food affects your blood sugar. And there are ways to measure it with continuous blood glucose monitors or CGIs, or when you go to your medical healthcare provider, they can also measure your blood glucose levels. So whatever makes your blood glucose go up and down, with that blood glucose going up and down, your productivity, your energy, your mood will also gonna go up and down. So be very careful about things that spike your blood sugar. Usually those two things are liquid sugar in juices, coffee and tea drinks. Also, a lot of sugar is nowadays added to different smoothies. You get the croissants, the bakery stuff that also obviously have a lot of processed carbs and sugars that will spike your blood sugar in most cases, and that will be detrimental not just to your health but also to your brain performance. Things like ADHD, brain fog, and not having ability to focus for a long time. Yeah, your blood sugar has a lot to do with that. So pay attention. And the last thing is inflammation. All the foods, suboptimal foods, like different chips and crackers and candies in all their possible forms, even if they have some vitamins and minerals, they're going to produce more damage than, obviously, again, there are some processed foods that are quite good addition to whole food, high quality diet. But most of the snacky stuff, it's going to create more inflammation. It's going to negatively affect your blood sugar and your inflammation. Your brain is, by the way, is the most sensitive organ to inflammation in the body and in the brain. And also in the gut, if your gut is inflamed, there is a connection between your gut and your brain. It's called vagus nerve. And that gut-brain axis will allow inflammation to travel from your gut to your brain and will contribute to things like bad moods, stress, inability to focus, have foggy thinking, not being able to think through challenging, complex problems, and overall deliver sustainable productivity. So just be aware that the lower quality foods you put in your gut are going to create a brain that cannot perform well. So don't be surprised if all of a sudden you have anxieties, ADHD, and you have brain fog most of the time. If your diet is not where it needs to be, then that's a consequence of that. Your poor brain performance, mood, and ability to recover. Hope this was your crash course in nutrition, specifically brain and performance nutrition. I hope by now you understand a lot more about why it's important to invest in high quality nutrition, and also practically what are the numbers you need to pay attention to, the amounts of different foods in your diet. By the way, if you'd like one-on-one session with me to walk you through all of these foundations that you might not exactly understand yet, and you'd like some personalized advice on how to actually implement it, where to start, there's a link in the show notes that you can use to schedule your absolutely free one-on-one session where I'm going to answer your question and give you more detailed advice, more personalized advice on every single item that you heard today. Don't forget, folks, your nutrition is what you're made of, what your brain is made of, what your body is made of, and it's also the quality of your productivity and success that you're going to be delivering in your life sustainably and consistently. It's like that building. If you build that building from poor quality materials and you miss out on a lot of stuff, that building gonna collapse sooner than later. Do you want this to be you? I doubt it very highly. So invest in your nutrition to perform well, do well, and have amazing life that you absolutely love living. Talk to you soon. Reach out, schedule that session, and get out there, do awesome things.